hotels charge for early check-in. They charge to hold your luggage, or at the very least, someone's expecting a tip. They charge to stock your fridge if they'll even do it, and to receive your packages. Guests pay for all of it without blinking.
As an Airbnb host, you are performing maybe every single one of those services and charging nothing for them. Not because guests would say no, but because you haven't asked.
One of our clients, Ola, was on a coaching call with us where we were talking through exactly this. And that same day, a guest requested early check-in from her. So we were like, let's go, let's try this out. So she quoted them $125 for early check-in, and the guest said yes. So Ola's only reaction was, should I have charged more? She now makes $2,000 to $5,000 more a month across her portfolio just from upsells.
And in this video, we're going to cover 4 upsells you can start implementing immediately. Services guests are already expecting to pay for that you are currently giving away for free. And if you're shaking your head judging us right now thinking, this isn't hospitality, keep watching.
The first upsell is early check-in and late checkout. And it's the one we see hosts give away most often and feel the most conflicted about charging for. The home's already clean. It's already ready. What's the harm in just letting them in a little early?
Here's what that yes is secretly costing you. Lock codes need to be changed to accommodate the new arrival window. There are messages back and forth confirming the new time, the access. There's the cleaner coordination. That is operational labor, and it has a value.
Hotels charge for this part of the reservation. They're simply extending their reservation either earlier or later. When you charge for it, you're not introducing a new concept. You're matching an expectation that already exists.
We hear from hosts, they're always saying, I feel bad asking. They worry it makes the interaction feel transactional. Well, it is a financial transaction the entire stay. The worst thing a guest can say is, no thanks. I'll just arrive at the normal time. That is the worst outcome. You've lost nothing and you've saved yourself the operational lift.
Yeah, and actually Annette made a good point before we hit record. You know, there are some, if you have a certain credit card or a certain status at a hotel, this is actually a perk. But again, you earn that perk by staying with that brand
loyalty.
For that loyalty. And so that is something you could add. You could have your own loyalty program. That's a whole other YouTube video or podcast that we need to do. But again, and I love what you said there, Annette. This is a transaction, hosts. You can be hospitable in the service that you're providing, but you are providing a service, and there is a transaction there.
Just a new lens there. You are charging them for quote unquote an hour or two here or there, just all combined in their overnight reservation.
Yeah.
So you're extending the amount of time that they're already investing in you, in your property.
Now, when the guest pays for an early check-in, it stops being a favor. It becomes a service, which means your execution needs to be seamless, right? Log code set correctly, confirmation set. Your cleaner isn't going to be there, past the time when you now promise the guest can arrive, right? No loose ends. That standard protects your review.
And you're probably wondering what to charge. This is a percentage of your property's ADR, depending on your market and your property tier. And if you're not sure where to start, just get your first number out there. They'll say yes or they say no. The guest will tell you if it doesn't land.
Now, here's the thing. If a guest asks for, hey, we're here a little early, like 20 minutes, like, of course, we're not asking you to nickel and dime your guest, but we are asking hosts to start remembering that this is a business, okay? Yes, you have the word host, but they are paying you to be their host. And so there's nothing wrong with charging for early check-in and late checkout. And the way you offer that up, or the way you answer that question, can set your guest up for understanding that there is a cost associated with that request. So you may have to play around with how you do answer that question when you get it, but there is a way to do it to where both parties understand that there is work involved and there is a service involved, and so that is why it is a cost.
Upsell number 2 is pool heat. If your property has a pool, you can charge guests to have it heated. And most hosts are not charging for it at all and absorbing the propane costs themselves and just calling it an amenity.
You might be thinking, I've never seen a pool heat fee on a hotel bill, but you have. It's baked into their resort fee.
There are 2 ways to charge for this pool heat. You can charge based on your actual propane usage, which sounds precise but creates a lot of back and forth and guest confusion. Or what we recommend, you can charge a flat daily rate. And we've seen ranges between $60 to $100 $25. It just all depends on the size of your pool, the market, your property tier. We recommend the flat fee every time. It's cleaner, it's easier to communicate, and the guest knows exactly what they're paying before they book.
TFE pro tip though, there's an operation piece here that a lot of hosts miss, and this is where reviews can get hurt, so let us save you that pain. Pool heat is a service, which means the guest has an expectation attached to it. When they arrive, is the pool already at temperature, or are they going to have to do that themselves?
Know your heater. How long does it take to get the pool up to 85 degrees from its baseline temperature? Build that lead time into your process so the pool is ready when the guest walks through the door and wants to get in the pool.
85 degrees is standard resort pool temperature. When a guest requests pool heat, that moment is when you set the expectation. So I want you to tell them the water will be heated to 85 degrees. It's important to explain what that actually feels like, because when guests hear heated pool, they're picturing a hot tub, which runs at 104, right? An 85-degree pool on a cool morning or after the sun goes down is going to feel different than what they imagined. And if you did not prepare them for that, you will see it in the review. And again, you might be like annoyed by that or roll your eyes, like guests should know. And it's like, I don't have a pool. When you tell me heated pool, I'm thinking
bathtub.
It's not. And so you have to help those out where a pool is aspirational, and that's why they're staying with you.
Here's a note specifically for co-hosts and property managers. If you are charging the guests for pool heat and accounting for it in your monthly report to the owner, but the owner is also going to possibly receive a utility bill that is significantly higher in the months where guests are heating the pool, set a calendar reminder, whatever system works best for your operation, but you need to give that owner a heads up before that bill arrives. It is jarring to see a spike without that context, So a 30-second message from you saves a lot of panic. The third upsell is an amenity setup and surprise and delight coordination. And this is where we see the most money left on the table for one very specific reason.
The hosts who resist charging for this the most are the hosts who spend the most time on it. And the reason they resist is a belief we hear almost every single week, that this generosity is what's driving their reviews. You guys, it's not, okay? Guests don't leave 5-star reviews because of the rose petals you placed on the bed. They leave 5-star reviews because the whole experience was seamless from booking to checkout. The rose petals are nice, but that's not why you're getting that 5-star review.
So let's talk about what happens on one of these setups. A guest is celebrating an anniversary. They want a charcuterie board, a bottle of wine, maybe some flowers. So you are driving to potentially 3 different stores. You got to source it all. You get to the property before check-in. You arrange it. I'm not going to lie, you're feeling pretty good. That internal feeling is great. You photograph it. You confirm that it's right with the guest. And then you charge them nothing for any of it. Not your time, not the gas, not the coordination.
Yeah, hotels price this, Annette, as a concierge fee. 20 to 25% on top of the cost of every amenity they place in a room. That fee covers the coordination, the sourcing, the time, the execution, okay? Your time as a host has the exact same value.
So we had a client, Beth, she was doing all these setups for her guests. She really loved it, but truthfully, it was running her ragged because she was doing them all for free. So what we started to do with her, we started walking her through best practice because she was only quoting, $25, $50 for this service. What we did in that marketplace, we went out and said, for a flower delivery, how much is it? For a gift delivery, how much is that? And we did the math if that guest had to source all of these things individually on their own. Then she had the power, she was equipped with what those quotes would be for them, and she started quoting a more appropriate price. So where she was getting $25, maybe $35, potentially $50, the next guest, she was quoting $75, then $100, and she was getting yes again and again and again. And her reaction both times was, I can't believe that they're saying yes, and I can't believe I used to do this for free. All right? The guests who want this level of service, they want to pay for it.
They expect to pay for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so when a guest asks you to coordinate a setup, the quote is simple. The cost of amenities plus your coordination fee. Guests who want the service, like Annette said, they want to pay for it, they expect to pay for it. And guests who don't can go get their own rose petals, their own wine, right? Either outcome is fine. What's not fine is you paying for their anniversary. building out your upsell system, how to price them, how to present them to guests, that's one of the first things we work on with our Strategic Host clients. Link in the show notes to learn more.
The fourth upsell is grocery shopping and fill the fridge. And this is one that hosts we see consistently underpriced because they think it's just a small favor. It's not. Let's walk through what a guest is actually asking you for.
Yeah, a guest wants to arrive and they want to have the basics in the fridge. Coffee, creamer, the breakfast stuff, water, snacks, maybe wine. Version 1, they give you a list and you shop. Version 2, they place an instant cart order themselves and want you to receive it and put everything away before check-in. Both versions feel and maybe look casual, but I'm telling you, I know this from experience. Neither is.
If you're doing the shopping, yeah, that's a store run. That's, again, gasoline in the car. That's 30 to 60 minutes minimum, plus judgment calls you make for them when something potentially isn't there or isn't available. Now, if they're doing the delivery, you are still coordinating the window, being at the property to receive it, unpacking it, making sure all the perishables are in the fridge, not sitting on the counter, turning into a bigger problem. Either way, that's a baseline 2 hours of your time and a trip to the property.
And just a little side note here, because Annette and I are very connected in the short-term rental industry, there are companies who are providing this service, just this service, to short-term rental property managers and co-hosts. Like, they are making a lot of money on just this, just to prove it to you that, like, people expect to pay and there's money to be made on this service.
Yes,
So,
haven't you ever went on vacation and like that 2 to 3 hour trip, you gotta find the grocery store.
No, yeah, it's a
gotta go to the
pain.
grocery store. Like all of a sudden the first 3 hours of your vacation are not a vacation.
Yeah.
Going grocery shopping and stocking the entire fridge. I would gladly make a very large investment.
actually, that sounds like the best thing to order.
Yep.
Okay, so here's how we would price it. Before you quote anything, know what your hour is worth. That number is the foundation in every service fee in your business. If your hour is worth $75, a 30-minute grocery run plus delivery is a $50 fee minimum on top of the cost of the goods. If they're placing the order themselves and you're just receiving and unpacking, a flat $30 to $50 is reasonable. And we're just giving you baselines here. It really depends on your market.
Yeah, where you're located for sure.
Yeah, and look at comparable services. There might be some competitors who offer this third party. First of all, maybe you just coordinate with that third party offer and then you take a little affiliate fee. But the guest who's asking for a stocked fridge is not looking for a bargain. They want the convenience. They will not push back on a fair fee for it.
Make sure to deliver it seamlessly. The fridge is stocked, the coffee exactly what they asked for, the fruit is fresh, and you've created the strongest arrival impression of any upsell in this video. They walk in, they see what you've done, and the review is already written.
And I will say that. So when you charge for it, and we mentioned this with the check-in, late checkout, take time to develop an SOP, a standard operating procedure. Take time to coordinate with your cleaner, with your inspector, maybe it's just with yourself, of the steps it takes to make this seamless. That's not gonna happen by chance. You have to plan for that and learn the more you do and perfect your procedure. Because if you're gonna charge for it,
As you should.
it should be seamless too.
Hosts have been trained to believe that generosity drives reviews, and there is truth in that. It's not generosity, it's hospitality.
Yeah.
Okay? A well-run, thoughtful operation earns 5-star reviews. But uncompensated labor, that doesn't scale. And most of the guests that are asking for these services, they really aren't even expecting them for free. They are expecting to make an investment the same way they would at a hotel. You are the one who decided it was free.
Yeah, if not charging for these and other fees that you could charge for is a deliberate brand decision for you, okay? You've watched this video, you've thought it through, you've done some journaling, you've done some soul searching, and it's part of how you want to operate, fine, own it. But most of the time, that is not what's happening. You're doing this, you're not charging out of fear, okay? You are doing it because one time you tried it and you got an upset guest. But what happened there is the way you communicated needed to be improved. The positioning of it needed to be improved, all right? And sometimes just because you're good at hospitality doesn't mean that you're good at the marketing, the positioning, the way that you speak to guests, especially since so much of it is done written or via text message on the phone. So that's what needs improved, not the fact that you are delivering a service and there is compensation for that, okay? So most of the time, you're just not asking, and if you have asked in the past, you just didn't do it the right way, All right, the worst thing that can happen once you figure this out, you test it a bit and you perfect your system, is that a guest says no thanks and arrives at a normal check-in time and they have an incredible check-in experience because you've nailed that.
The great news is every one of these upsells, it is a revenue opportunity sitting in your existing operation. You don't need another property. You don't need more guests. You just need to charge for what you're already doing.
Yes. Inside of Strategic Host, we help hosts get more nights booked, charge what the property is actually worth, discover revenue generating opportunities like upsells, and we help them to stop leaving money on the table.
And if you watch this and realize you're giving away 3 or 4 of these, that's a conversation we want to have with you on a call. So the link is in the description to apply. We're going to look at your business, the potential opportunity, and see if Strategic Host is a fit for you.
With that, I am Sarah Karakayan.
I'm Annette Grant, and together we are
Thanks for visiting. Talk to you next time.